Hi friends, Allie here. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to crochet this mini pumpkin. You can use this for your fall or Halloween decor, string a few of them together to make a garland, fill a vase with them, or even make it into a keychain. This mini pumpkin uses very little yarn, so it's a great project to use any scrap yarn you may have lying around, and it also works up really quick. If you want to follow along with the free written pattern, you can find it on my blog, theturtletrunk.com. I'll put a link to that down below. Now, if you're ready to get started, let's head over to our supply list and let's get making. For today's tutorial, you'll need medium 4-weight yarn in orange, green, and brown. You'll also need a 4mm or G hook, scissors, yarn needle, fiber fill for stuffing, and a stitch marker. We're going to start with our orange yarn. We're going to begin by making a magic circle. So we're going to take the tail end of our yarn and wrap it around our pointer finger and our middle finger. When you bring it around for a second time, you're going to cross it over. Then you're going to insert your hook under the first strand, pull that second strand under, and then we're going to secure that circle with a chain 1. So there we have our magic circle. Now we're on to round 1, and for round 1, we are going to work 6 single crochets inside of that circle. So to single crochet, you're going to insert your hook and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on your hook. When you're done working all 6 of those single crochets, you're going to take that short tail end and pull it tight to close up the hole. And now for round 2, we're going to work straight into that first stitch. So for round 2, we're going to work 2 single crochets into each stitch around. So we're going to be working in continuous rounds, so we're not joining at the end of the round. So I'm going to grab a stitch marker and I'm going to mark my very first stitch so that I don't lose my spot. And then for round 2, we are just going to work 2 single crochets into each stitch around. So I'm just coming up to the end of round 2. So again, I'm not going to join at the end of the round. I'm going to work straight into that next stitch. So for round 3, we're going to work 1 single crochet into the first stitch. I'm going to mark that first stitch again so I don't lose my place when I come back around. And then in the second stitch, I'm going to work 2 single crochets. Then 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and 2 single crochets into the next stitch. And we're going to repeat that all the way around for round 3. So 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch, and repeat that all the way around for round 3. At the end of round 3, you should have a total of 18 stitches. Now on to round 4. Again, we're going to work straight into that next stitch. So for rounds 4 to 7, so the next 4 rounds, we are just going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch around. So remember to replace that stitch marker into your first stitch, and then we're just going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch around, and we're going to do that for a total of 4 rounds. So rounds 4 to 7, just work 1 single crochet into each stitch around. So I'm just coming up to the end of round 7, and this is what my pumpkin is looking like so far. And now we're on to round 8. We're going to start closing up the top of our pumpkin. So we're going to work 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then we're going to decrease in the next stitch. So we're going to work a single crochet 2 together. So insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop. Insert your hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And we're going to repeat those 2 stitches all the way around. So we're going to single crochet into the next stitch, then single crochet 2 together in the next. Single crochet into the next stitch, single crochet 2 together in the next. We're going to repeat that all the way around for round 8. At the end of round 8, your stitch count should now be 12. And now we only have one more round left to do, which will close up the top of our pumpkin. So we're gonna add our fiberfill stuffing now. You can use as much or as little as you'd like. The more you add, the stiffer your pumpkin will be. So you can add as much as you like until you get the density that you want. So just stuff your pumpkin as you like, and then we'll move on to round 9. So once you're done stuffing your pumpkin, we can move on to round 9. So for round 9, we are just going to work decreased stitches all the way around. So we're going to work 6 single crochet, 2 togethers all the way around for round 9. And as you're working this round, you might find that the stuffing is kind of getting in the way, but you can use your fingers to push it down further into the pumpkin so that you can reach the stitches better and that your hook won't grab the stuffing. So just use your fingers to push the stuffing down as you work around. So when you reach the end of round 9, your total stitch count is now 6. And as you can see, there's still a small hole on the top. So we're gonna cut off our yarn, leaving a long tail. You wanna leave it about 12 to 18 inches long. So we're gonna cut off our yarn. And then we're gonna weave that long tail through those last 6 stitches to finish closing up that hole. So if you grab your yarn needle, then we're gonna weave that tail end through those last 6 stitches. Then you can pull that tight and that will close up the hole on the top of our pumpkin. Now we're going to use the long tail end to create the segments of our pumpkin. So we're going to wrap the yarn around the side of the pumpkin to create our first segment. So wrap your long tail end down the pumpkin, and we're going to insert our needle through the bottom hole, the bottom center hole of our pumpkin, and bring it up through the top hole of our pumpkin. And then you're going to pull that tight, and you can see that it's going to create that little ridge there. So we're going to do that a total of 4 times, making 4 equal segments to our pumpkin. So wrap it around again, bring your needle through the bottom, through to the top, and pull tight. The tighter you pull that yarn, the more it will create that segment look. So you can pull it as tight or as loose as you want, depending on the shape of the pumpkin you want. And you just want to try and do it equally around so that you have 4 equal segments. So I'm just going to continue doing that all the way around until I have 4 segments. When you're all done making all 4 segments, we're going to just tie our yarn off. I'm just going to work a double knot at the top of the pumpkin, making sure it's nice and secure. Then you can cut off the orange yarn. I'm just going to hide my end inside of the pumpkin. So I'm going to insert my needle through the pumpkin, and then I'm going to cut off the yarn at the bottom, and that'll just hide the tail end inside of the pumpkin. And now we can move on to making the stem and the leaf. So I'm going to start with the stem. So you're going to need to grab your brown yarn and you're going to want to make a slip knot. And we're going to chain 3. And then for row 1, you're going to slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. And then slip stitch into the next chain. And that's it. That's the little stem. So now I'm going to cut off my yarn. I'm going to leave about 3 to 4 inches because I'm going to use these ends to attach it to the top of my pumpkin. But here is our stem. And now we're going to do our leaf, which is actually worked the exact same way. So we're going to do the same thing with our green yarn. So take your green yarn and make a slip knot. Then we're going to chain 3. Then for row 1, you're going to slip stitch into the second chain from the hook. And then slip stitch into the next chain. And then we're going to cut off our yarn, leaving about 4-inch long tail. And there we have our little leaf. So now we're going to grab our pumpkin again and we're going to attach our stem and our leaf to the top of our pumpkin. I'm going to start with the stem first. So I'm going to grab my yarn needle and I'm actually going to tie the 2 ends of mine together. You don't have to do this. I just decided to do this to bring them together. And then I'm going to use my yarn needle on one of the strands. And I'm just going to insert that through the top of the pumpkin and I'm going to go straight down to the bottom. Like so. And pull that all the way through. And then I'm going to do that same thing with the other strand. So I'm not going to be working through the exact same spot as the other strand. I'm going to work in a different spot just beside it so that the whole stem won't just pull right out. Because then I'm just going to tie these 2 ends together and then hide the ends on the inside of the pumpkin. So even if you pull on the stem, it shouldn't come out since those are worked through 2 different stitches at the top. So I'm just going to secure those with a few knots and then I'm going to cut those short, and then when I'm done working the leaf as well, I'm going to hide those ends on the inside. So now I'm going to do the same thing with the leaf. So you can place your leaf however you want. I'm just going to tuck mine beside the stem. So just like we did with the stem, I'm going to use my yarn needle and go through the top of the pumpkin straight through the bottom. And then I'm going to do that same thing with the other strand. Again, not working down into the exact same stitch, just working beside it, so then you won't be able to pull the leaf straight out. So then I'm going to tie these 2 ends together, cut them short, and then I'm just going to hide them on the inside of the pumpkin. So now to hide those little cut ends inside the pumpkin, I'm just gonna take my needle and I'm just going to push them inside the pumpkin so that you can't really see them anymore. Then when you're all done, your mini pumpkin should look something like this. Thank you so much for following along. I really hope you enjoy this tutorial. Don't forget to check out my blog, theturtletrunk.com, for more free crochet patterns. And if you want to show off your finished creations, please tag @theturtletrunk on Facebook and Instagram so I can see them. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so you're notified as soon as a new video is up. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.